Hello, how you doing? Welcome to my new channel, over and over and over again, dedicated to all things Arsenal. Obviously, at the moment, I'm still buzzing from Saturday. I'm sure you all are as well. It was just a fantastic day, wasn't it? Fantastic experience. Now that's the 13th FA Cup final I've actually seen Arsenal playing. Six of them I've been actually in the stadium, which is at the old Wembley Millennium Stadium and the new Wembley, and the other seven I've had to watch on TV. Now, this is going back to 1978. It was the first cup final that I can remember watching Arsenal in against Ipswich, which we lost. Um, but for all of those 13 cup finals, most of which we've won, um, I think this one was one of the most enjoyable. And I do think that there's been several factors for that. I think, firstly, because of all the stuff that's gone on in the world this year. 2020 has been a strange year, hasn't it? It's been very stressful. It's been really difficult year for everybody. And of course, football was completely suspended for 3 months. And in fact, there was a time when we wasn't even sure if the season was going to get finished, let alone the FA Cup. So I think all that kind of, combined together has maybe made it seem even more enjoyable, perhaps, because it was something to really look forward to. And the whole day for me was just brilliant. Um, and I think the other reason why it's maybe so enjoyable was the fact that it's been such a poor season, hasn't it, for Arsenal? Um, Such a traumatic season with everything else that's gone on as well behind the scenes, with the change of manager, with the terrible, terrible league form, particularly in the first half of the season when, I think we won one game from the beginning of October until after Christmas. I mean, that's how poor we were. Um, and that's almost like now that's almost forgotten. And I know there was a big break, and maybe that's part of it, but it almost seems like that was a different season, wasn't it? If you think back to sort of October, November time, some of those performances, Sheffield United away, dreadful, dreadful performance. The Crystal Palace at home game when we was 2-0 up in about 10 minutes and we were clinging on for a draw. I know we had a goal disallowed and stuff, but those performances there, some of them performances, Leicester away, terrible, Southampton at home, Brighton at home, all these really, really poor, poor performances, um, which obviously ultimately led to Unai Emery being sacked, which I don't think was a surprise to anybody. But I mean, if you go back to sort of November time, even into the beginning of December, could you ever have imagined that this team could win a trophy? Because that was the last thing on my mind. I think we were all more worried about getting sucked into the relegation zone than anything else. Um, I mean, the season for me reached the bottom um, in that game before Christmas at home against Manchester City when we lost 3-0. We were 3-0 down in about 25 minutes. We just looked dreadful. We had no pattern, no shape, nothing at all, and it was just a dreadful, dreadful performance. And after that game, I kind of felt as though the whole club needed a complete reset, that we were going nowhere fast. Um, at the time, Freddie Ljungberg was, of course, the interim charge. We needed a manager. I felt we needed an experienced manager who could come in, steady the ship, and kind of pull us back in the right direction. So when it was Arteta that was appointed, I was quite surprised, really. Someone with no experience of being a head coach, and I know he had obviously a great connection with the club, having played in this kit as well. I just felt as though maybe that wasn't at that time what we needed. I mean, he spoke really well. His first press conference really impressed me, but I still felt as though his lack of experience at the top level as an actual head coach was going to, it's going to take a lot of time. And I didn't feel we had a lot of time at that point. Things needed to be turned around quickly. Um, so, what's happened since then has been nothing short of remarkable. Um, when you think about it, it's not different players that we've got. In the January transfer window, all we got in was initially a couple of loans, wasn't it? Pablo Mari and Cedric Suarez came in on loan initially. I mean, I know since that they've signed long-term contracts, but when you think about it, Pablo Mari's injured, hasn't played. He's only played about 2 or 3 games, and Cedric Suarez obviously was cup tied in the FA Cup. was injured as well and hasn't really played a lot of games. So basically, it's the same group of players that were at the club in December, playing in all those terrible performances. That's ended the season and played in a cup final, and it's almost like they're two different teams. It's been absolutely amazing what Arteta's done in such a short space of time. Um, a lot of the players took a lot of stick, didn't they? They was called not good enough for the club, and all sorts of other things. And I think that what's been proven now is the fact that the players were good enough. They've always been good enough for the club. They've always been good enough to win us trophies. They was being coached in the wrong way. And what Arteta's done is he's managed to get the best out of every single player. There's a couple of players that I really wanted to mention. The first one's Granit Xhaka. I feel as though um, it looked as though his Arsenal career was finished, didn't it? After what happened in that Crystal Palace game, the way he reacted to the crowds, sort of stick he was getting that had been building up over a number of weeks, um, and it looked as though that was it. He got left out of the team after that, stripped of the captaincy, and I must admit, as much as I've always admired Granit Xhaka, I've always liked him as a player. I also think he's a really good guy. Clearly loves the club, but I was kind of thinking there's no way back. You can't come back from that. You just can't. Um, but real credit to him. He's put his head down. He's got on with it, and obviously Arteta has managed to really focus him on what he needs to do. Um, but the way he's turned it around has been incredible. His performances, certainly since the lockdown in particular, have been outstanding. In fact, you know, out of all the games that I saw, I don't think I saw a better midfield player consistently over since the lockdown. I've got to be honest. I thought he's been absolutely brilliant. Of course, his semi-final performance against Manchester City was just incredible, and then again on Saturday in the final, again he was brilliant. And um, just massive credit to him, really. And I'm hoping now that next season, if at any point we do manage to get fans back in the stadium, that he actually gets the support that I think he deserves for the work he's done over the last sort of 6 7 months, in particular since in the time Arteta's been there. Just to turn his career around, really. I just really want to give massive respect to Granit Xhaka for that. And the other one as well, obviously, is David Luiz. I think when he first came to Arsenal, people were getting on his back almost straight away because he'd come from Chelsea. He was an experienced player, but people felt as another sort of over the hill player from Chelsea, a bit like people felt about Petr Cech. But again, I feel as though he's actually done a really good job for the club. Yes, there's been a couple of high-profile mistakes that he's made, a few red cards and penalties conceded, etc., etc. But I think overall he's a great leader on the pitch. Um, and his performances have overall been really good. If you think about the semi-final against City, what a great performance that was, and again on Saturday in the final, absolutely brilliant. He was. He really sort of led the team, drove the team on, and that's what got us, helped us to get through. Now, we all love the young players that we've got at the club. We all love it when young players come through the academy and then go on and win trophies for the club. It's brilliant. And at this moment in time, we've got a lot of great young players, haven't we, that have come through the Hale End Academy and have got into the first team and have contributed massively to this FA Cup run and the success in the competition. Um, but to win trophies, what you need your experienced players to step up, and produce performances in the big games when it matters. And that's what we've done. Obviously our young players have contributed a lot. Eddie Nketiah scored 2 or 3 goals in the FA Cup run. He came on in the final, that done well in the short time he was on. Obviously, Bukayo Saka's had a great contribution to the FA Cup run. He scored a goal as well, didn't he, against Bournemouth in one of the earlier rounds. He hasn't really played much lately, but again, his contribution's brilliant. Reece Nelson, of course, scored the winner in the third round against Leeds, and then had a great game against Portsmouth, didn't he? In I think it was the fifth round. So all these young players are really kind of. Joe Willock's played most of the games earlier on in the competition. So all these players have contributed a lot to the success. But I say it's the experienced players that win you the trophies at the end of the day, and that's what happened in this FA Cup run. So David Luiz, brilliant in the semi-final, in the final. Granit Xhaka, of course, Aubameyang stepped up. 2 goals in the semi-final, 2 goals in the final. That's why we're desperate to keep him, aren't we? Because these are the big moments that are important for the club. Players like Lacazette as well on Saturday really stepped up, put in a performance. You know, it was a difficult start. You know, some of the younger players were looking nervous, and it was good that the experienced players were able to help us through that difficult period and then push on, dominate the game, and go on to win it. But obviously, the main man behind all that, Mikel Arteta, what a job he's done! Absolutely amazing. So when you think of the mess when he came in, when he took it over, the lack of experience that he had at the top level of sort of being a head coach, manager, what he's done has just been. I mean, for me, I think he deserves Manager of the Year just for what he's had to deal with and what he's produced. To win a trophy like that in that manner was just it's just brilliant. I mean, I couldn't love the guy anymore. You know, seeing the celebrations at the end with the team, it's clear that the players absolutely adore him. And I think it was the same at Man City, wasn't it? I think the Man City players did as well, and you could tell that since he's left, they seem to be lacking that little extra something that he brought, which now we've got, and you can see what a difference it's made. So I mean, it's just brilliant. And what's got to happen now this summer? Now we've got back into Europe, we've won a trophy. The club have got to back Arteta, give him whatever he needs or whatever he wants because he's proved himself. You know, he's worked miracle, hasn't he, to get us from where we were before Christmas to where we are now, celebrating winning the FA Cup. He deserves to be supported and backed by the board. He's an ambitious coach. I mean, he loves Arsenal, but he also wants to be successful. And my fear is that if he isn't backed, he won't hang around. He'll maybe end up going back to Man City when Pep leaves and replacing him and going on and winning a quadruple 6 seasons in a row. That's that's for me. That's almost like what I could see happening if we don't back him. So we need to keep him because he's an absolute gem. He's going to be one of the best coaches ever in English football history, and we've got him, and we need to keep him. We need to keep him happy, and we need to make him be able to build this team that he's clearly going to be able to build. I mean, I've been sort of saying almost half jokingly maybe that we could win the Premier League in 2022, so not next season, but the season after, and um, I'm actually starting to believe that could be possible. In fact, we could even do something big next year. I'm not thinking we can necessarily win the Premier League next year, but if he's given the right back in this summer, if you think of the improvements he's made in 6 months, imagine what he can do with a proper transfer budget over the rest of the summer to put together a couple of bits and pieces into this jigsaw to make us a more complete squad. I can really see us being a good team next year, a really competitive team, and I think we'll do really well. I think the top four is definitely there for us as a minimum. I think we can really do well next year. We're in Europe, which I think is important as well. In the Europa League, again, that's a competition that we should have won it, shouldn't we? Already, we had a couple of good goes at it, and I think that the disappointment from this year getting knocked out the way that we did, I think Arteta will be really fired up to do well in that. So I'm really excited about what's coming. Um, we all know about being told to be excited this time last year. Um, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm really excited. I was really excited on Saturday and just what we've achieved really over the last 6 months. So, um, just fantastic, isn't it? Now the season's over, we can enjoy what's left of the summer. Hopefully, it can be a good summer in terms of the transfer window, and then we'll be regrouping again at the end of August. It just seems a couple of weeks away for the Community Shield against Liverpool, which is going to be good. Um, and let's just enjoy it really. These moments don't come along very often. I know we've been fortunate in the last few years to win the FA Cup quite a lot, but you know we just got to look back, haven't we? Just a few months to know how easy it is to not be successful, if you like. So we need to really enjoy these moments. I know I certainly am, and I will be. And I say, let's hope this is just the start of something big, because I've got 100% faith now in Arteta. We've got the right man to move this club forward and be successful. And I'm sure Saturday is just the first of many trophies that Arteta is going to win. And hopefully, most of them will be won with us. Come on, you.